we'll be discussing the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 AF STM lens for Sony E-mount. Viltrox sent me this lens to review. It also comes in a Fuji X mount. You can get this lens for $399, and on the Viltrox website you can use my code Antnie for 10% off your whole purchase. I do make a small commission that supports this channel when these codes are used. A budget-friendly option is the Viltrox 85mm f1.8 MF, which is very similar but only has manual focus mode and retails for $199. The MF will give you just as good images as the AF, but for my purposes, the convenience and versatility of the autofocus is worth the $200 more. In comparison, Sony's 85mm f1.8 costs around $550 to $600. The Viltrox 85mm lens has a 9-bladed aperture with a range of f1.8 to 16, which is a pretty standard aperture range for a portrait lens. The minimum focusing distance is 0.8 meters or 31.5 inches. It does not have lens stabilization, so you'll need to rely on your camera body's internal sensor stabilization. The front element is rather large and uses a 72mm front filter thread. Since it's an E-mount lens, you can use it on any Sony E-mount camera. If you're adapting it to an A6000 series or Fuji X mount, you need to take into account the crop factor. This 85mm, for instance, would function more like a 127.5mm equivalent lens. There are no gaskets or any type of weather sealing on the body of this lens, but the glass elements do have protective coatings, which I will speak more on later. I have taken this lens out in some moisture and it didn't affect the lens. When editing photos, the image metadata will just say 85mm and the aperture, and will not list any other information, which makes filtering through images difficult. Keep this in mind for organization. For a $400 lens, the build quality was better than I anticipated. Constructed of all metal and glass, it feels more premium than the price tag would suggest. This is the heaviest FE lens that I have tested at 1.38 pounds. It is also the farthest reaching prime FE lens that I have used. The lens structure has 10 glass elements in 7 groups. The glass elements are coated with Viltrox's HD Nano multi-layer coating with water resistance and anti-fouling, which helps reduce flaring and ghosting. The coating on the front element is debris repellent, and when dust did collect, it was easy to remove. There's one extra low dispersion element that helps prevent aberrations. It also helps improve color accuracy. There is a micro USB port for firmware updates on the mount of the lens. The included detachable lens hood secures to the outside of the front of the lens, leaving the filter threading available. It does a good job of blocking rain, snow, and sun from coming in contact with the front element. When the electronic aperture changes, I notice a slight grinding sound. This lens is advertised to have noiseless STM autofocus motor, but several times now I've heard audible sounds of the motor acquiring focus. In most cases, a slight noise isn't a deal breaker, but when you're trying to be discreet, it can be inconvenient. I find that when the focusing motor is making an audible sound, turning the camera off, detaching the lens, reattaching, and turning back on solves the issue. During the day and in good lighting, the autofocus can be fast, smooth, and accurate. However, when Sarah and I did a photo shoot in overcast weather, about 7 of the 75 images came out completely blurry. When this started happening, I had to turn the camera off, demount the lens, remount, and turn the camera back on during the photo shoot. That fixed the issue in the moment, but I had to do it twice in 10 minutes while we were out. It seems like something that could be fixed with a firmware update. When shooting in low light or at night, the autofocus spent a lot of time hunting, so I found it easier to simply switch to manual focusing. The giant focus ring is easy to adjust for precise focus, though the focus throw is too long. The autofocus and eye detect worked well together. That combination really helped me get some sharp and accurate f1.8 shots. When shooting video, the autofocus didn't feel as smooth as it did when shooting still photos. It feels almost choppy, and when it does get focus, it locks in hard. When shooting portraits at the max aperture f1.8, the image quality was surprisingly sharp, with high contrast for being shot wide open. You can also get really creamy, rich bokeh when shooting at f1.8. From f1.8 to 2.8, there is noticeable but subtle vignetting, and it doesn't show up beyond f2.8. At the wider apertures, images come out slightly softer at the edges and tack sharp in the center, but at f4 and beyond, the whole image comes out sharp. The color rendition and accuracy was very pleasing to me, but that can vary greatly based on your camera's color profile settings. Viltrox sells this 85mm FE lens for $399, and you can use my code Antnie for 10% off your entire purchase on their website. The commission I make supports this channel so I can continue to make these videos. Thanks for watching.